Charlie Murphy was not merely a shadow cast by the towering success of his younger brother, Eddie Murphy. He was a man of profound depth, resilience, and humor, whose life story is as compelling as the comedy that made him a household name. Born on July 12, 1959, in Brooklyn, New York, Charlie's journey from the gritty streets of one of America's most challenging neighborhoods to the pinnacle of comedic success is a tale of perseverance, tragedy, and ultimately, triumph. Brooklyn in the 1960s and 1970s was a far cry from the gentrified borough it is today. It was a place where survival required toughness, and the Murphy family was no stranger to hardship. Charlie was the eldest of 3 children, born to Lillian Murphy, a telephone operator, and Charles Edward Murphy, a transit police officer and amateur comedian. The elder Murphy's influence on his children was profound. He instilled in them a love for humor and a sense of resilience that would define their lives. Tragedy struck the Murphy family when Charlie was just 9 years old. His father's sudden death left Lillian to raise the children alone in a neighborhood where the threat of violence and poverty was ever present. Despite these challenges, the Murphy household was filled with laughter and a strong bond between the siblings. Eddie, who would later become a global superstar, looked up to his older brother Charlie, who often played the role of protector and mentor. Charlie's teenage years were marked by the struggles common to many young men growing up in Brooklyn during that era. The streets were rough, and opportunities were few. Charlie found himself drawn to the allure of street life, a path that would eventually lead to trouble with the law. At the age of 17, Charlie was arrested for robbery, a moment that served as a wake-up call. Determined to change the course of his life, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy in 1978, seeking the discipline and structure he needed to turn his life around. Charlie's time in the Navy was transformative. He served for 6 years, during which he developed a strong sense of discipline and purpose. The experience provided him with a new perspective on life and a determination to pursue his dreams. After being honorably discharged, Charlie returned to New York with a renewed sense of direction. It was during this time that Eddie Murphy's star began to rise in Hollywood, with his breakout role on Saturday Night Live and subsequent success in blockbuster films like 48 Hours and Beverly Hills Cop. While Eddie's career skyrocketed, Charlie remained in the background, supporting his brother while quietly nurturing his own ambitions in the entertainment industry. Charlie's entry into Hollywood was not immediate. He worked various odd jobs, including as a security guard, while honing his skills as a writer and performer. His first significant break came when he co-wrote the screenplay for the 1993 film CB4, a satirical comedy about the world of gangsta rap. The film, starring Chris Rock, was a moderate success, but it was Charlie's raw and authentic voice that stood out, marking him as a talent to watch. Charlie Murphy's true breakthrough came in the early 2000s with his involvement in Chappelle's Show, a sketch comedy series created by comedian Dave Chappelle. The show quickly became a cultural phenomenon, known for its sharp social commentary and boundary-pushing humor. It was on this platform that Charlie would deliver some of the most memorable performances of his career. The Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories segments became iconic, with Charlie recounting wild, and often exaggerated, tales of his encounters with celebrities like Rick James and Prince. These stories were more than just comedy, they were a window into the excesses and absurdities of Hollywood, told with Charlie's unique blend of humor and honesty. The Rick James story, in particular, became legendary, with lines like "I'm Rick James, B." entering the lexicon of pop culture. What made these stories resonate so deeply was Charlie's ability to weave humor with a gritty realism. He didn't just tell jokes, he painted vivid pictures of the absurdity of fame and the often surreal experiences that came with being part of the Murphy family. Charlie's storytelling was so compelling that it elevated Chappelle's Show to new heights, and his contributions became a defining element of the series. However, the success of Chappelle's Show was not without its challenges. The show's sudden end in 2006, after Dave Chappelle's abrupt departure, left Charlie at a crossroads. While he had gained fame and recognition, the end of the show meant that he had to find a new path forward in his career. True to his nature, Charlie did not shy away from the challenge. While Charlie Murphy's professional life was on an upward trajectory, his personal life was marked by profound tragedy. In 1997, Charlie married Tisha Taylor, and the couple went on to have 2 children. Charlie was deeply devoted to his family, and by all accounts, he was a loving and supportive husband and father. However, their happiness was short-lived. In 2009, Tisha was diagnosed with cervical cancer, and despite a brave battle, she passed away later that year. The loss of Tisha was a devastating blow to Charlie. Her death left him a single father, raising their two young children while trying to maintain his career in the demanding world of entertainment. Charlie's grief was immense, but he drew strength from his children and continued to work, channeling his pain into his comedy. He often spoke about the therapeutic power of laughter, both for himself and his audience, and he remained dedicated to his craft despite the personal challenges he faced. In 2016, Charlie Murphy's life took another tragic turn when he was diagnosed with leukemia. The diagnosis was a shock to Charlie and those close to him, but true to his resilient nature, he approached his illness with determination and dignity. He kept his battle with leukemia largely private, continuing to perform stand-up and take on acting roles even as his health declined. Charlie's final years were marked by an incredible work ethic. He refused to let his illness define him, choosing instead to focus on his passion for comedy and storytelling. He continued to tour, bringing laughter to audiences around the country, even as he underwent grueling treatments. Those who saw him perform during this time were struck by his courage and his unwavering commitment to his art. As his condition worsened, Charlie remained stoic, maintaining his sense of humor until the very end. He understood the gravity of his illness but chose to face it on his terms, with the same grit and determination that had characterized his entire life. On April 12, 2017, Charlie Murphy passed away at the age of 57, surrounded by his family. His death sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, and the outpouring of tributes from fans, friends, and fellow comedians was a testament to the impact he had on those who knew him and those who had been touched by his work. Charlie Murphy's legacy is one of resilience, humor, and authenticity. He was a man who faced immense challenges, both personally and professionally, but never allowed them to define him. Instead, he used his experiences to fuel his comedy, creating work that was raw, honest, and deeply relatable. Charlie's ability to find humor in even the darkest situations resonated with audiences, and his contributions to comedy will be remembered for generations to come. His work on Chappelle's Show remains iconic, and his true Hollywood stories are still quoted and referenced today. But beyond the jokes and the laughter, Charlie Murphy's life story is one of perseverance and the power of the human spirit. He faced adversity with grace and courage, leaving behind a legacy that goes far beyond the world of entertainment. Charlie Murphy's life was a journey through the highs and lows of the human experience. From his early years in Brooklyn to his rise in Hollywood, Charlie faced more than his share of challenges. Yet, through it all, he remained true to himself, using his unique voice to bring laughter and joy to others. As we remember Charlie Murphy, we celebrate not just the comedian, but the man. His story is one of triumph over adversity, of finding light in the darkest of places, and of leaving the world a little brighter than he found it. Charlie's life was cut short, but his legacy lives on, inspiring others to face their challenges with humor and resilience. In the end, Charlie Murphy was more than just a comedian. He was a storyteller, a father, a brother, and a friend. His life was a testament to the power of laughter and the strength of the human spirit. As we say goodbye to Charlie, we remember him not with sadness, but with gratitude for the joy he brought into our lives and the lessons he taught us about living with courage and authenticity.